Hey everyone, Wylock here, welcome back. Today we're going to make some industrial scatter terrain, sci-fi, industrial, that kind of thing. Easy to do, fast, anybody can do it. Going to show you a couple tricks that can make anything look decent. And we're going to talk about basing. Going to attach it all to a base, it's scatter terrain. We're going to use foam board, not MDF. Now that's not a new concept, but I contend that the warpage factor that you avoid with MDF but you suffer with foam can be counteracted very easily. I've talked about it before on the channel, but it's especially important here because we have no rigidity in this terrain. The stuff attached to it doesn't do anything to help us flatten it out. So, let's get to it. Standard 5mm foam board available at any crafting store and most office supply stores. I'm actually using Ready Board, which is from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut out a shape, whatever shape you want for the base of your scatter terrain feature. You should have a good fresh blade in your knife to prevent tearing of the foam. You want nice clean cuts, especially for this next part, which is to bevel the edges. With the knife extended out a bit, draw it across to slice off a nice chamfer like this. Make sure you're moving the blade back or forth, not just pushing at it. Should feel like a pretty gentle motion. Now apply some white PVA glue like Elmer's, not watered down. Fairly healthy amount like you see here. And I just use my finger to spread it out nice and smooth. Make sure you get nice full coverage. Then some cork sheeting, available at any crafting store. Break off some chunks and place them on there like derelict slabs of concrete. Stack them up, lean them, stuff like that, whatever you want. And then construction sand. This is Quikrete construction sand, has varying sized aggregate. Flock the base with it. About 2 hours later, that should be bone dry. Apply a base coat of dark brown. I'm using burnt umber here. It helps to dip the brush in water, then wring it out, and then load up the paint and apply. And you'll see that the little bit of water that's left in the brush mixes with the paint at the moment of application, and it'll be much easier to soak into that sand from capillary action. Oh, and also base coat the cork with black while you're at it. Now I'll give all that time to fully dry and cure, and you'll see this. It's warped. Awful, unusable. So what do? Flip it over, and apply another coat of white glue on the underside. Spread it out smoothly and give it a full 24 hours to dry. I know it'll seem like it's dry after only 3 hours, but trust me, let it sit for the full 24 hours and then it'll be perfectly flat. So again, look at these. Terribly warped. They rock when you touch them. Unusable. Here they are with the bottom coat, set out to dry for overnight. And here they are afterwards. Look at that. Miraculous. No need for MDF, you can get very sturdy, very durable, very flat bases with just plain old foam board and white glue. Now I'm going to take a plain tan and dry brush it on the base. Notice that the burnt umber base coat kind of came out splotchy, the paint was too thinned out in some parts. That's fine, it actually introduces some nice variation in a moment here. If you're new to this stuff, dry brushing just means load paint on the brush, but then immediately work it back off on the palette or some paper towel until there's almost no paint left on the brush. Then paint the sand, and you'll see that detail catch the last remaining bits of pseudo-dry paint from your brush. And look at that. Not professional by any means, but certainly good enough for the tabletop, and really simple and easy to pull off. For the concrete slabs, going to use a dark gray and do an overbrush. So this is not a full base coat like the black was, but it's also much more than a dry brush. You can see how much I'm applying here. It's like 80% coverage, so the black underneath is still having some impact to create depth. Then with a plain gray, just going to nick at the edges like this. Optionally, I didn't do this, but optionally, you could dry brush the whole slab with gray and then do this edge highlight with white instead. It'll pop more, but I didn't want that. This is dull Wreckage scatter. Now collect some greeble. Here I've got a hair curler, an applesauce pouch cap, and some bits from a Wendy's kids meal. Also Connects work great, and so do Lego Technics series parts. These are smooth plastic, so take them outside and spray prime them. I like Krylon Matte Black. That done, gonna use a dark gunmetal metallic paint and again overbrush these parts, like 80% coverage. And then a metallic copper, just kind of strike at a few spots sporadically on each part. Again, not professional, but very easy, gets the job done. Now take the base and dry fit a couple of the parts. Choose where you want to attach them. We're going to be using super glue, so make sure that you have some raw, unpainted plastic on the underside of the part. If you don't, take your knife and scrape some paint away. By the way, this thing here is from a make-your-own popsicle kit. Makes for a good antenna dish. I recommend a gel control super glue for this. I like Loctite. Gorilla Brand also works great. So apply a thick bead of it to the areas that will affix to the base. And here you can see I'm leaning this on concrete slabs, so I'm kind of figuring out exactly where it's going to be touching, and that's where I'm applying the glue. Then set the whole thing aside to dry for a few hours. I used a good amount of gel control super glue, so I'm taking no risks, just going to give it overnight to fully cure and harden. And one final touch, going to add some dead foliage. This is lichen or moss from the crafting store. Take some of the tan colored stuff and just hot glue some tufts on there. Easy enough. And we're about to go to the table to see the final product, but real quick, some reminders. If you like what you're about to see, please don't hesitate to hit that like button, subscribe, reminders, etc., etc. There is a link in the description below for my Amazon storefront. Easy, free way to support the channel if you want. Just buy your stuff through that link. And for all you 3D printers out there, Wylock's Crafting Vids is sponsored by Heroes Horde, which has an excellent range of high-quality models, including but not limited to all TrueTiles lines, which are OpenLock compatible. Also, check out my modules over on the DM's Guild, and remember, $3 patrons get free copies of all my releases. So as always, to provide a little extra something, here's a miniature. This is a Custodian Warden from a unit I'm working on, just to provide scale here. He's on a 40mm base. So I made 6 pieces of scatter here of varying size. We'll get in and look at them. So again, pieces from like toy kits like Lego Connects. That's from a Wendy's kids meal. These things here, these are caps that were on poles, I think to a tricycle, just protective packaging. That's a hair curler. 3D printers, if you have failed prints or unused prints or whatever, you can bust them up, attach them here. They make great wreckage. Connects there, that gear. The lichen, continue to get a lot of mileage out of that. I like for all my terrain to be kind of cohesive, so I treat it the same. They get the same color for their ground texture, the same lichen, and so on. Those fences, if you're interested, I'll throw a card on the screen for that episode, and these bunkers that you see, those will be in an upcoming episode. If you liked this particular project, here's 2 more that you should go check out right now. Also, enjoy this month's community showcase. And don't forget to subscribe and click that bell reminder icon. I am Wylock, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.